16. Naya. We have not had a problem like this yesterday, and this one looks a lot more confusing. When you see really hectic equation problems like this one, you're going to remember, don't run out the room screaming. Don't cry, bring it. What does the D stand for? Ash. Write this one time on the corner of your page. Board to paper right now, make sure you have D and distribute. You should look for the number that you're going to multiply. I'm going to have you turn in your homework at the end because I'll hand grade each problem to make sure your work looks like your notes. Make sure your name is on your homework right now. As long as you have it looking like the notes, that is all I need. You can always improve. So we're going to distribute, which there is something to distribute. The C stands for combine like terms. That's our added wrinkle into today's problems. The B stands for what, Daniel? Bring what? Thanks for using that vocab word. It's all the numbers without a variable. So bring the constant to one side. Constants are all the numbers without variables. Our last step, Zach, what does I stand for? And what are we isolating? The x or whatever variable we have. In this case, it's the n. So we're going to isolate the variable. Don't cry, bring it. Once you have done that, you should have a variable with a number on one side, and that's your answer. Thumb up when you have all of DCIB written. Yeah. You're good? Okay. Morgan, can you help me with this first example? What would I do first? That's a whole mess on the left side, and instead of running out of the room, I'm going to remember, don't cry, bring it. What does the D stand for, Morgan? What number do you see that needs distributing? And the 3 and the? Okay, Daniel, simplify that for me.
3 times 1 is 3. 3 times 6 is 18.
If I stopped here, what's my blender? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, Freddy. You got it. This 6n is attached. The n is part of the 6. It is a different term than the 3. Daniel.
Okay, so we do the next step. Yeah, we combine like 2.
So let's finish bringing down all the numbers first, so it's a nice equation without any parentheses. We just distributed. Check that off from your list. And next, I'm going to combine like terms. Jazz, what numbers on the left side are like terms? I'm looking for the numbers that look similar. What numbers do you notice that are similar?
5 and 18.
Yeah, why are they similar? Why are they like terms? Beautiful. So let's combine them. 5 plus 18 is what? Jasper? Yeah. Okay. 23, don't forget your n. Bring down the 3. Bring down the equals 187. And this looks similar to a 7th grade equation that I can solve now. Sienna, what's my next step? I distributed, I combined. What do I do next? Not yet. Yeah, and what's my constant? The 3 is. Bring it over by doing the inverse operation, subtract by 3. And what is 187 minus 3? Okay.
184.
Okay. Bring down your 23n, and we are one step away. Aiden, do you have a question?
Yeah, how'd you get 23N?
So I combined. Since there's two n's on the left side, that was the difference between yesterday and today. We combined any numbers that were similar terms. If there was a 3 and a 5 without a variable, those are two of the same term, you would combine it. What's my final step, Maddie? You got it. Let's set up some division work on the side. And 184 is on top of society. It gets a house. 23 is outside. It doesn't get the house. Ashlyn, do you have a starting point for me to guess and check?
I did 4 and
Can you wait 5 minutes? If it's an emergency, go. If you can wait, wait. Yeah. Yeah, what would I guess and check for? This is a funky division problem. I don't have it mentally down. Kai, what would you say?
8.
You think
Oh, wait,
8's the starting point? Let's try. If 8 times 23 equals 184, we're in good shape. 8 times 3 is 24. 8 times 2 is 16, plus 2 is 18. It looks like it worked. I don't have to guess and check anymore. N would equal 8. As you are doing these problems, make sure that you are tending to precision. You have all the negatives and positives neatly lined out so you don't mistake one negative for a positive. We're going to see that a little more in the last example. You don't have to write this again, but just write DCBI. We don't have to do the whole thing. We're going to check off as we go each step. So write just DC, B, and I so we can check it off. Morgan, what's my first step? Good. When I distribute the 8 on the outside, notice it has a negative. So I'm distributing the negative 8 with the 5 and the negative 8 with the negative 8x. Negative 8 times 5 would become what? Ella, you got it. Negative 8 times negative 8x is what? Jasper.
64.
What was my blunder? 3.
Oh,
4.
positive.
It was supposed to be positive, right, Jasper? Yeah. So I wrote a negative because I saw that negative and I just blindly put it down there. Negative times a negative should be a positive. It happens a lot, and if you're not careful, it can be a blunder. Bring down the 6x, bring down the 180. We distributed. Check that off from your paper. Donna, what do I have to do next? Good. Christina, what like terms do I have on the right side? 6 plus 64x. Good. Let's underline it. Why are those like terms, Alec? Why are those like terms? What do you notice about both of those? They both have a... What? What's to the right of them? They both have an x. They're both variables, so they can be combined. That's why we combine them. 6 plus 64, Daniel, is what?
70.
Write that down. Don't forget your variable. It's not a 7. Bring down the negative 40, bring down the negative 180. Keep plugging along. We distributed, we combined. Bring, Donna, what am I going to bring to one side? Which number?
40.
Daniel?
Yeah,
It should be a positive 40 because inverse operations tells me to do the opposite. Okay. Bring down the 70x. Negative 180 plus 40 is what? Is it going to be a good guy or a bad guy? I'm thinking that in my head. I'm thinking of a subtraction problem. Ella, what do you get when you solve this one? Why is this negative? Yeah, good guys versus bad guys. They fight and the 180 wins. One final step. Can anyone do this mentally? A lot of mental athletes. Kai, how would you solve it mentally? Give us your trick.
Well, you divide it by 70, and if you think about it, 7 times 2 is 14. Plus a 0 is 140.
Set up Scratchwork, and 140 is going to be divided by 70.
Oh.
And there's a negative there. So you could think about it if you just kind of erase the zeros. 14 divided by 7 is 2.
Or I could do it just 7 times 2.
Yeah. 7 times 2 is 14, 7 times 2 is 140. You could do it mentally. If you can't and you don't have that skill yet, just set it up like this. Yeah. Yeah, because we have 7 times 2 is 14, and then 7 times 0 is 0. So your answer should be 20. Agree with that? Silent yes, disagree, silent no. Is it 20? Maddie, what do you disagree with? Oh, you're right. What am I doing? It's not 20. It is 2. 70 times 2 is 140. That's a blunder. And another blunder after that, yeah. Okay.
You didn't write negative.
It's negative because same good, different bad. They're different sides. I didn't make a blunder that second time. That was actually a purposeful blunder. The first one was the real blunder. Mark 1.
We only need a couple more until we already have.
You're marking 1. Sit down and flip your page. Here's our game plan. We have a large chunk of time like yesterday where we're going to focus a ton on you independently solving these problems and building mastery. The first 6 minutes will be partner practice. You should be solving one problem with your partner, then checking the answer, going on to problem 2. You might only finish 2 in 6 minutes. That's fine. Ashley, go ahead. Sign out. Start 6 minutes with your partner, check the answer, then go on to 2. Aiden, I didn't forget about you. I'm just showing you on the board what it would be. So when you have that simplified, we combined, right? Now I have to do the opposite. Does that make sense? So this is canceling, and that leaves the 15.
Would it still be negative once you, if it's a negative, can you see, can you check where you did two?
Good guys, bad guys, want to band together? Yep. Look at the warm-up for number 3 if you're a little bit stuck when you hit 2. There is a similar problem. That's a good one off. The division is still a little bit harder. Before you launch on your own, let's get number 1 and 2 done. Someone who already divided 120 by 15, some of these division problems are a little bit kind of annoying because they're too big to do mentally. What would 15 times what would be 120? Donna? 8. That looks about right. That would be 120. It's a negative 15 and a positive 120, so that turns into an answer that is negative. V is negative 8. Freddie, Zach, you guys are on 2?
I'm on 3.
Can you help me with 2, Zach? What did I do to both sides?
You multiplied 2.
And why? Check your voice. Raise your hand if this confuses you and you got a question. Why would you multiply by 2, Zach? Zach, why would I multiply by 2? What was the goal?
You would multiply by 2 so you could cross cancel both the 2's. So then it would just be x minus 3.
And you have to do it to both sides. So negative 9 also gets multiplied by 2. Remember, equivalency has to happen on both. Then you just add 3, right, Zach?
Yep.
And what's your final answer?
Yeah.
Negative 18 plus 3?
Is that one? Negative 15.
Okay. Ash, help me rewrite this. If it looks like that, I can always do what to it? Flip it around. Your goal in 15 minutes is to complete problems 3 through 9. Once you get past 9, I want you to look at gold and attempt it. Show me your attempt, and then I'll give you homework. You have a solid chunk of time, 15 minutes. Go slow. Your goal is not to finish everything. Your goal is to do these really well. Finish 3 through 9. That's